Hello, good afternoon and welcome to News Today on Joy News Channel on Multi TV with me, Francisca Kakra-Forsen. Coming up, some doctors have returned to work in hospitals in Accra despite the Ghana Medical Association's resolve to remain on strike. Also, Peter McMenu is reportedly appointed to lead Nana Akufo-Addo's campaign next year. And Food and Agric Ministry bans movement of poultry and other products from Accra to other regions. These plus sports and entertainment right here on News Today. I'm Francisca Kakra-Forsen and let's get started. Some doctors have returned to work at some hospitals here in Accra. This appears to be in defiance of the Ghana Medical Association's decision for the doctors to remain on strike. Matilda Omega has been doing some checks at some hospitals in Accra. She joins us on the line. Matilda, where have you been to and what can you report?
Okay, Francisca, I've been to the Ridge Hospital, I've been to the Adabaka Polyclinic, the Kolebu Polyclinic, and then the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. At the Ridge Hospital, a number of doctors are told, I'm told more than 20 of the doctors have responded to the calls coming from management. Yesterday, they had a crucial meeting with the doctors because for now, there's a monitoring team from the Ministry of Health at post the facility, which is taking names and records of doctors who are post and then working. So we have some of the doctors who have turned up for work. Bridge Hospital has a total of 150 doctors at post, and I'm told that 20 this morning reported to work. At the Adabaka Polyclinic, we have 5 doctors at post and then 2 physician assistants also at post. That is done on rotational basis. So for them, they are receiving new cases now. They have started full operations at this facility. But the only thing is that people are not coming because there's no official communication that doctors have resumed and are now at post and then working. The Kolebu Polyclinic, nothing really has changed. The strike is still in session. They haven't resumed full operation. Their OPDs are still suspended, and it looks more or less like a ghost town, same as a Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where nothing much is going on here. At the SME, the place is still empty. I've been to the maternity ward, which I've seen a number of patients walking, but the doctors, you find the doctors at post, but they are specifically attending to inpatients. And also I've been interacting with some mothers who came around and they tell me that for now the doctors are only seeing to postnatal. There's no antenatal, there's no OPD, neither emergency too. So, Francisca, this 4 facilities have been to see the situation on the ground.
Okay, that's Matilda Omega here in Accra. Let's find out the situation from Erastus Asare Donko, who's with Love FM in Kumasi in the Ashanti region. Erastus, you heard Matilda, in some parts, in some hospitals here in Accra, the doctors are working. About that, what's the situation in Kumasi?
Well, then, is a contrary scene here at the Promotional Teaching Hospital. Already the specialist OPD where I'm standing now is empty. But today I have seen some of the nurses go in and come out, not like other days. But then I have not seen any doctors around. At the Accident and Emergency Center, the place is empty. As usual, I went inside. The beds have been packed as usual. There are no patients in there and no patients are coming in. At the polyclinic, the situation is the same there as well. And so the doctors are not working here at the Promotional Teaching Hospital.
Now, the Ghana Medical Association members in the Ashanti region, we understand, have been meeting. What have you picked up about this meeting?
Well, I am standing just close to the meeting grounds. At first, it was there at the ENT, but the numbers, the place could not contain them, so they have to change venue, bring it to the Nursing Training College conference room here, where I'm standing. And from the eavesdropping I've been doing, members have been sharing their opinion on general issues concerning what has been happening on their front, especially.
Hello, Rastas, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, the line, okay, there was a break in the line. You just touched on the bit of especially, and then there was a break.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that I have been eavesdropping a bit, but what members have been saying generally is about members contributing to what they think about what has been happening on their front, especially government's decision to bring in Cuban doctors and to bring in retired doctors to work. And they have been expressing, some of them have been expressing concern that in case that happens, because they are reliably informed that that is going to happen, in case that happens, what then do they do? Do they pack their tools and leave? That's what some members have been saying. Others have also been expressing, concern about what their front should be doing, some pragmatic measures to be doing, because government is infiltrating into the doctors' ranks, trying to convince some of them to come back to work. So these are few, eavesdrops that I have gotten from where I'm standing now. But the meeting is still in progress.
All right. Erastus, earlier in our conversation with you, you talked about the NDC or government communicators, some who have suggested that armed robbers go and attack these doctors who are on strike because what they're doing is illegal. We understand there's an apology from one of them.
Exactly. This comment came from Vincent Japan, who is the NDC communicator here, one of them in Ashanti region. And about 30 minutes ago, he was apologizing profusely to me, and our viewers will get the opportunity to watch the video later. But then what he's been saying is that his comment was reckless. He is sorry, deeply sorry. He was moved by what he saw at the Kumasi Teaching Hospital, a woman who could not get assistance and so had to die. It moved him to pass those comments. He's really sorry, and the GMA should forgive him. Okay,
we'll leave it here. That's Elton Erastus Donko reporting from the Ashanti region. The MPP minority in Parliament says the numerous strikes in the country in recent times have exposed the weakness of the National Labour Commission. The opposition MPs say the NLC has become a one-man outfit that cannot deal with the myriad of problems confronting the Labour front. They were addressing a news conference in Accra in the wake of the ongoing strike by public sector doctors. Dr. Richard Anane is the minority spokesman on health.
The NDC administration, led by President Mahama, has not kept faith with the people of Ghana, as promised in their various manifestos to deliver a better Ghana agenda through the provision of good health care, good environmental sanitation, and prosperity to Ghanaians. It will be very suicidal, therefore, for Ghanaians to entrust the administration and the management of this country into the hands of the NDC come 2016. They have shown gross incompetence in the general management of our healthcare delivery systems. Perhaps I may want to repeat what I have said. It will be very suicidal for Ghanaians to entrust the administration and the management of this country into the hands of the National Democratic Congress in 2016. They have shown gross incompetence in the general management of our health care delivery system. They have mismanaged the best legacy that the Kufuor administration bequeathed to Ghana. Now, cash and carry is subtly gaining roots. Health workers have had to besiege the Comptroller and Accountant General's office to embark on strikes before their salaries are released. They have to embark on sit-down strike before they are promoted. CHIPS compound concepts is in limbo. Child and maternal deaths keep escalating, making it impossible for Ghana to achieve the Millennium Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, you are the better.
Joining us on the phone right now is parliamentary correspondent Elton John Brobe. Elton, why is the minority, or what reasons are the minority given for their claim that government is mismanaging the health sector?
Well, the news conference looked at issues in the health sector. They looked at the the doctor strike, the National Health Insurance Scheme, and as well as the ongoing, resolve by government to roll out capitation across the country. But key on the agenda was the doctor strike. Now, Dr. Richard Anane, who is the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, said he has worked with some Cuban doctors. I'm sure our government intends to bring in some Cuban doctors to help with the absence of the doctors in some of the teaching hospitals. And he says that he knows virtually attacking the competence of the Cuban doctors. He also mentioned, for instance, the government will be spending a lot of money to bring in these doctors. Their feeding, their accommodation, and other issues will be taken by government. And he doesn't see why government would not concentrate on resolving the impasse between them and the Ghana Medical Association to get them back into the hospitals. They've also been making some demands that they think that the government should follow will help bring an end to this crisis. First, they want the president, as a matter of urgency, to take steps to win back the confidence of the Ghana Medical Association so that both parties can relax and come to the negotiation table and settle the impasse amicably. They are also of the view that in the absence of a board regulating activities of the National Labour Commission, it will be difficult for the chairman of the National Labour Commission to resolve this strike. According to him, the number of strikes in the country bears testimony to the weaknesses in the ability of the National Labour Commission to act. The industrial strike that we have in the country. So going forward, the charge on the president is to immediately constitute a board of the National Labour Commission so that they will be able to put in the necessary measures to address this particular issue. But on the appeal to the doctors, they are reminding them that notwithstanding the weight of their grievances, their strike action is resulting in death that could otherwise be prevented. So they can go back to the hospital, they can work while they negotiate with government on a price, knowing very well that decision on the conditions of service will take effect in January 2015.
All right, thank you very much. That's parliamentary correspondent Elton John Brobe. You're still watching News Today on Joy News on Multi TV with me, Francisca Kakra-Foz. When we come back, we're still talking about the doctor strike, but there's a revelation. We'll tell you. Please stay.
Ethiopian Airlines is pleased to announce the commencement of new flights to Manila, Philippines, starting July 9, 2015. Ethiopian Airlines Manila flights operate 3 weekly schedules on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. For more information, please contact the nearest Ethiopian Airline office or your preferred travel agent. Ethiopian Airlines, the new Spirit of Africa, a Star Alliance member.
Coming this August, an all-new season of Jefferson Saki Reports begins with North America's biggest Caribbean festival, Caribana 2015, in Toronto. As youth from all over Africa meet in Johannesburg, South Africa for the 7th African Youth and Governance Conference, Jefferson Saki will host decision makers of the conference, which is aimed at empowering Africa's future. Plus, the Mission of the Elders, an initiative of freedom fighter Nelson Mandela, an exclusive interview with world elder El Abad. All coming up this August on JSR. Saturdays at 19:30 GMT on Joy News on Multi TV.
Welcome again. An elder at the Lashibi branch of the Evangelical Global Church is urging striking doctors across the country to call off their strike or risk incurring the wrath of God. Aaron Vuha, who also doubles as the chief consultant for the Ghana Management Development and Productivity Institute, says his warning follows a revelation from God about Ghana's current health crisis.
Said, I should tell them that if any time they went on strike and anybody died as a result of the strike action, if somebody's death was a result of their strike action, he will hold them responsible. And I thought that it is time to tell the doctors, especially the Christians among them, that if anybody has died so far as a result of their strike action, already they have blood on their hands. And just to make sure it doesn't continue, they have to stop. Or it could mean that they will incur the displeasure of their colleagues. But as far as I'm concerned, it's better to incur the displeasure of human beings than the displeasure of God. That is why I'm telling them this, that doctors, please, especially those of you who know Christ as your Lord and Savior, those who are expecting him to come back and take you to heaven one day, please go back to work, save lives, and take the wrath of God from you. That's my short message.
If I would also want to put on the religious lens, these doctors are just mere creatures of God.
Yeah.
And so if obviously if we believe in the omnipotence of God, then God gives life. And so if these people have died, then it means it was destined for them to die.
Oh, no. I don't think it's right to just say it was destined for them to die. Lives could have been saved. In fact, it is not right to say that everything that happens is something destined by God. No, I don't think it is so. Men can kill. Men do kill. And anybody who shares the blood of another human being is answerable to God. And I want to say that these doctors, being creatures of God, are responsible to God for everything they do. So they should recognize the voice of God.
Okay. And so your message is directed to to only Christians?
All of them, but especially the Christians, because they have accepted Christ as their Lord and Savior.
The Ministry of Agriculture has announced a ban on the movement of poultry, its products and feed from Accra to any other parts of the country. The ban is to curb the further spread of bird flu, as some birds in the capital could still have the virus. Deputy Agriculture Minister in charge of livestock, Dr. Hannah Bisiu, says the ministry is engaging the security agencies to enforce the ban.
A total of 40,154 birds have been killed since the ministry confirmed the outbreak of bird flu 2 months ago. Another 23,987 birds have died naturally from the disease. The cases have so far been concentrated in the Greater Accra, Volta and the Ashanti regions, with 9 out of the 14 districts in Accra recording cases. The Ministry of Agriculture had earlier prohibited hawking of live birds in the capital, a ban which was casually overlooked by most poultry retailers. It, however, says the latest ban on the movement of birds, poultry products and feed in and out of Accra should help reduce the spread.
We are strictly banning every form of poultry and poultry product out of Accra into any other region. The first outbreak that we had in the Ashanti region of Obuasi, we've not had any other outbreak ever since. So we will cautiously say that Ashanti region is safe. The other regions, we cautiously say that they are safe. Unfortunately, we will not be able to enter into people's homes to see who has backyard poultry or not. Unfortunately, these backyard poultries, they find themselves with the flu on our markets. What we found on Kantamanto market was backyard. And we did not know how many of those birds had been sent out on the streets. And so we are zoning, and as we go down, we will let you know the zones and the measures that are being taken. We need to take these measures to make sure that in the next few months, getting to Christmas, our region, Greater Accra, the capital of Ghana, is free of the bird flu, and the other regions are safe from the disease. And no farmer from any other region should accept any product from anybody coming from Greater Accra, if even it's imported and they are transporting from Greater Accra, without the veterinary certificate that says that it is safe to have it.
The ministry, since the outbreak, said it needed a budget of 11 million Ghana cedis to implement emergency containment measures. Farmers affected were supposed to have been compensated. They are, however, yet to receive any such monies. But Dr. Bisiu says discussions are ongoing for the disbursement to begin.
Government is working out the modalities to pay compensation to affected farmers. Monies have been approved, and so we will consequently work on the percentage because the numbers will have to be audited. It has to go through a number of things before you can say that farm A is due so much. And government will only pay for birds that we destroy. So we advise farmers that immediately you see the first death or the first abnormality in your bird, report to the vets. We will give numbers that you have to call at the end of the day. To the backyard farmers.
The ministry has meanwhile rolled out an awareness campaign for stakeholders in the country in order to safeguard against the spread of bird flu. Matilda Pomaga for Joy News, Accra.
The Wa Municipal Security Council has ordered the police to arrest children under 16 years who are found loitering in the town after 11 p.m. The move is apparently aimed at combating crime in the town. Let's get more on this from the Municipal Chief Executive Ishahaku Nuhu Putiaha. Good afternoon to you and thank you for joining us on the news. First, tell us exactly what is prompting this directive.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Yes, it's true. The Municipal Security Council met and try to see how best we can, reduce the crime wave in the municipality. And we realized that mostly the people who are involved in the burglaries and the stealing of motorbikes and other things are people who are under 16 years of age. I've also realized that in the lines, especially in Watown, you see these kids under 16 years roaming all over the street, even in dark corners, at odd places, at odd hours. And we said, fine, what is the way forward? And we realized the best way to go is to see how to discourage the roaming of pet kids on our streets. So we put up a kind of a fear and gone to a number of radio stations to announce that if you allow your underage child to be caught in odd hours at odd places, that child will be taken to the police station for questioning. And the parents will have to come and answer questions before the child is released.
So just to butt in there, after the child is arrested and interrogated or answers the questions, what next? What happens?
Yes, when the child is interrogated and there is evidence of criminality, there is evidence that the child is a criminal, the child will be prosecuted, will go through the prosecution process. And if it's the other way around, then the child is warned and released. We just want to do that to discourage children from roaming and also encourage parental responsibility in the municipality.
But is this the best approach? Why don't you just find the parents who allow their children to roam after 11 p.m. rather than arresting these minors?
We have spoken to the parents, appealed to them a number of times. And we don't understand why the parents will not insist that their sleep, their children sleep in the night. So if we are putting the two together, still talking to the parents, but we want to create the awareness for people to know that, yes, it's not allowed. Even the laws of Ghana do not allow people roaming in odd hours at odd places. When the security agencies even get you as an adult at a very odd hour, at a very odd place, you are picked up for questioning. So that is just what we want to implement.
Mr. MC, how do you distinguish between loitering about and what you mentioned, that some of these minors are involved in crimes which they use these motorbikes? How do you draw the line between the children who are just...
Yes, that is true. If you look at loitering, some are just roaming about, some sit by the roadside. Why we're saying this is that the evidence picked up also points to the fact that most of them sit odd hours to plan to go and attack people. So sitting in a group at a very odd hour by the road or any corner that place is not allowed. We will consider you as a criminal or sitting to cause problem. Else, why will you be sitting there at that time thinking of what? So we will actually go into it. The investigations will indicate whether you are a criminal or not. But on the face of it, we discourage that and see that.
So when will you start carrying out this directive?
yes, we are set to start this directive by the end of this month. So we said 25th, but we are currently doing the education on the radio station. But 25th of this month, the directive will start. We have also enhanced security. As the security go around, they try to talk to people that, yes, we are discouraging this, we are discouraging that. And even they mount roadblocks at odd places, at odd hours. When they get them, they talk to them.
Okay, that's Mr. Issa Haku, the DC there. Thank you very much for speaking to us. We'll turn our attention back to the conversation about the health sector. We're joined in the studio by our health correspondent, Fred Smith, who you've got some information from the ground with regards to the strike and the fact that some doctors are returning to work. What can you tell us?
Well, we've been to some hospitals and we find that some are responding to the deadline that was given by the health ministry. At Bridge Hospital, for instance, some doctors, they have 170 doctors, 20 of them have returned to work. At the Braka Polyclinic, 20 doctors, 5 doctors have returned to work this morning. And this is despite the fact that GMA hasn't officially called off the strike. You know, the directive to them was to take steps to call off the strike, and that has not even started. The process has not begun yet. If it starts, it may take up to about Monday. So you're referring to
the National Labour Commission's directive?
The directive that was given them yesterday.
The doctors are defying that?
Well, what the sources within the doctors tell us is that they have not officially received any communication from the NLC so they can begin the process, because they need to know exactly what the wording is to be able to communicate to the General Assembly the legality of continuing to stay on the out of work or returning to work.
So as it stands, the official position is what remains, the strike?
Yeah, the doctors are still on strike. And this is clear, it's evident at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, especially at the Polyclinic. The OPDs are very empty because there are no doctors to take care of them. Nurses are not taking any patients on today.
Okay, Fred. We'll keep our eyes on the doctor's story, but thank you very much for joining us. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Beatrice Edu will join us with business.
Wake up and smile. See the refreshing smiles of a fresh couple with the knowledge that their honeymoon trip is fully insured. So you could hold me. And the gracious smiles of the ever undisturbed homeowners. Lord, you are the refuge. And that fulfilled smile from the contractor having his contract solidly insured. And that glowing smile you wear when your precious car is sorted out. Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Let go. Let's celebrate 30 years of solid partnership. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business on News Today on Joy News on Multi TV. Now, proposals from the IMF for the establishment of a fiscal council to check government rising expenditure has been met with some opposition. Joy Business is learning that the International Monetary Fund is pushing for the establishment of an independent body to ensure that government spends within its budget. Sources say the fiscal council should be in place by next year. However, economist Samson Akligo tells Joy Business setting up another institution is not the solution.
I think that the root causes of our persistent and excessive deficit and debt has a lot to do with the structural dynamics of the country and the extent of load that the central government takes, especially the extent to which government is heavily involved in the economy and is painfully taking some time for it to change. So the difficulty that we have now, whereby, for example, we already have some that the fiscal authorities are supposed to abide with, but it's difficult for them to do that, especially if you don't have fiscal space. I think that is going to be a very tough challenge for if we have to put together maybe a very strong fiscal council.
The Chartered Institute of Taxation in Ghana is on a mission to get government to tax online marketing companies. According to the institute, government can't consider taxing such companies to generate more revenue. A fellow at the institute, Abdallah Ali Nachia, explained this to Joy Business at the opening of a 3-day conference.
Institute of Taxation Ghana's 3-day conference, which opened today, is to make inputs into the amendments of the tax legislation. The legislation is currently under consideration by Parliament to be passed into law. The institute, among other things, wants government to tax online marketing firms in the country. A fellow of the institute and director of World Tax Service Ghana, Abdallah Ali Nachia, tells Joy Business government will greatly increase its revenue if considered the score.
A lot of issues out there in the US and the rest on online marketing business, Google, Amazon and the rest. We are gradually having our own type of Google and Amazon in Ghana. We have OLX.com, we have Tonaton.com. These are all virtual trading places. Take your picture of an item, you send it, somebody says I'll pay you, you meet somewhere, you exchange the money. What is the tax involved? How is government raising the taxes that are coming up from the gains people are making on these dealings on the internet?
Mr. Nachia also impressed on government the need to seek the views of taxpayers and other stakeholders in the amendments of the country's tax legislation.
We've highlighted the rights and obligations of taxpayers. So any legislation that is going to affect taxation will take account of the issues that we have raised. Are taxpayers consulted? Have they been adequately informed of the changes coming in the legislation? What processes are being put in the legislation to assist them to comply voluntarily with their tax obligations?
The conference, which ends on Friday, will come up with a communique of the Institute's inputs in the amendment of the tax legislation.
Now, most cashew farmers at Kabile near Sampa in the Bunohafu region are refusing to sell their produce to the only processing factory due to delayed payment. The decision by the farmers has negatively affected operations of the factory. More than half of the workforce has been laid off. The farmers prefer selling to foreigners at reduced prices than supplying to the processing factory. Correspondent Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
Because of the high price of the raw material, the farmers are willing to sell to the ready markets. So last year and this year, we are not getting raw material to process.
This is the ordeal cashew farmers and allied societies go through in the midst of high cost of living. Cashew farming is a booming business here at Sampa. Though it has brought financial relief to farmers, a major obstacle to sustenance is lack of ready local market.
Even though we produce a lot of cashew here, getting cashew to feed the industry is quite a challenge, in the sense that the factory, the processing factory, is in competition with the foreigners who come here to buy.
Farmers have difficulties adding value to the cashew they produce.
They buy the nuts just like that and then export them. And just as I said earlier, the apples, which is also very important, are left to rot in the farm. They are just being thrown away. So they are not processed here.
The difficulty farmers used to go through to market their nuts appeared to have ended following the establishment of this processing center. Over 80 people were directly employed to work at the factory.
Those workers here, formerly they were traveling to the cities, working there, and because this factory is there, here they are working with us here, getting small money, helping their family.
The cashew business used to be rewarding, but now it's no longer lucrative.
But the situation was short-lived. Majority of the 75 farmers who used to sell their produce here have withdrawn from the community group.
They were all helping, bringing their raw material to the factory. And because of the high price of the nuts now, only few of them, like 30, are bringing their nuts here. Even the 30, they sell some to the exporters and bring small nuts to the factory.
Farmers are calling on government to intensify public education on the outbreak of bird flu in the country. The farmers say the situation is gradually crippling their businesses.
The issue of the loans is a concern, because one of my executives at the Western region, his loan was approved, but they told him because of the bird flu scare, they are not going to give the money to him, which is not very good, because he has made the necessary arrangement to buy feed and other things, birds and other things. So if he's refused the loan, it means he cannot continue with the business. So I think the financial institutions should have a second look of this situation, because we are taking good care of it. As of now, it has been controlled, except that there are a few areas in Accra that are having challenges. But I know it will be over. So the financial institutions should come back again to assist the farmers. If they are not there, we cannot do our work.
We are saying that in event of any sentence, the vet should be able to come over and support. But we are looking at a situation where the industry is going to suffer just because the financial institutions are scared, probably out of ignorance, thinking that the bird flu would sort of collapse the industry. But our word is that if the industry will collapse, it's not coming from the bird flu. It's going to be our actions and inactions. So we will still appeal to the financial institutions to continue to give us the support, because this is the time where we need the support.
And that's all in business. My name is Beatrice Edu.
You're still here on News Today on Joy News on Multi TV with me, Francisca Kakra-Force. And let's talk politics now. A former chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Peter McMenu, has reportedly been chosen to lead Nana Akufo-Addo's third bid for the presidency. A formal announcement to this effect will be made before the close of today. Political correspondent Kwache Afre Nyama joins me in the studio. Good afternoon to you. Welcome. So Nana Addo settles on McMenu. Tell us more.
And of course, going into this, making this decision, we know that the two names that were up there, Accra MP and former General Secretary of the party, Dan Botwe, and you had McMenu himself. But information we're gathering from sources within the hierarchy of the MPP is that the flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo, has settled on Mr. Peter McMenu. Of course, this decision by the flag bearer is subject to the highest decision, to the approval of the highest decision-making body of the MPP, aside Congress, which is the National Council made up of top members within the top hierarchy of the MPP, almost 600. And Mr. Peter McMenu, the decision by Nana Addo to settling on him is not so surprising, aside the fact that he has the base with the grassroots and all that. This is a man that he trusts so much. Looking at this recent investigation by the party into the voters register, where they say they've realized more than 76,000 names of Tokolese nationals on the register, Nana Addo chose Mr. McMenu and his running mate, Mahmoud Bawumia, Dr. Bawumia. Now, this very sensitive information in terms of the investigation, they didn't want leaked out to even party members. So he had to choose someone he trusted so much. So it's also surprising.
There's the case of trust. What else does Peter McMenu bring to the table?
This is a man who, as I mentioned, has the base of the grassroots. He served first, and that was the first position that he took up in the MPP, the polling station executive. If you look at the MPP, talking about the grassroots, it is those who hold this position that are in touch with the grassroots most, and that's where he started his political career, rising up to this level. So he's in touch with them, and going into the 2016 election, that's one thing that the MPP is looking at, capturing the floating voters right from that level at the constituency level.
This must be very disappointing for Dan Botwe, because he's known as the election winner.
Well, Damboche is not entirely out of the race because, as I mentioned earlier, whatever decision Nana-Addo has taken, he will have to convince the National Council of the MPP that this is the right decision, this is the man who can do the job. So for now, subject to the approval of the National Council, Damboche is not entirely out. But we're also learning that he may be given a crucial role to play as well, if not having
so then tell us who the other members will be.
You have Mr. Alan Chermanting on the campaign team. It's not clear what exact role he will be playing, but other names that we are aware of, Paul Afoko, National Chairman, and Kwabene Japan. But what our sources are telling us is that they will not be playing quote-unquote prominent roles on the campaign team. Well, leading up to this, we heard about calls for them to be sidelined and all that. So it's interesting that even though they have been included, the talk is about not, playing a prominent role. We see how exactly...
We'll see how things go. We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Afre Kwachenyama. I'm Francisca Kakra-Forson. Thank you very much for your company.